Hello, welcome. I will be discussing bringing your C Sharp .NET application into Power Apps. Power Apps is an exciting new platform. It's based around the Office 365 environment. And traditionally, you might have in your staff a C Sharp application built into the .NET framework that is on site that you might want to leverage with this new Power application. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned pro, I'm going to detail a little bit of how you can make this possible. At Advisicon, we're helping you achieve greater impact all the time. Advisicon is recognized widely as helping industries achieve better processes through management workflow solutions and also IT expertise. Today, we're going to go over myself, a little overview of the topic, setting up the environment that you need, a demonstration, some best practices, and some summary and next steps. Introduction to me. My name is Brett Moore. I'm an MCP and Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate in Data Access. I have a background working in over 15 years of experience in .NET, C Sharp, SQL, and web development. I've done custom development on-prem and also in the cloud. Reach out to us after this presentation as well. At Advisicon, we are experts on project management flows and expertise in IT. The flow of data we're going to discuss is between a Power App to a data flow in an Azure function that's created with .NET 8. So in many cases, you're going to have a Power application, and you might have historically a .NET application written in an API that you want to talk to. We're going to discuss a little bit of how you would go about connecting those. To do this demo, you need a Power Apps environment. You need to have an Azure subscription or similar environment that has an HTTP API that was written in .NET 8. Visual Studio 22 and .NET 8 is what I use. You may use a prior version as well, and you might be as successful. Now let's give a demonstration at this time. For the sake of argument, I did a very vanilla out-of-the-box Azure function. So if I went into a brand new application in the solution, and I just said new and did an Azure function, this is what I would get. Now, one of the things you want to do is deploy this app. So I went to a location that I have access to. One of the things I use is our private account at Advisicon. So I would go there. Once it's published, I was going to take a look at what we have up in the cloud. We go here to the test Power App. Generally, most of the time, you have to have an Azure function set up. You'll have an URL that you will have here. You'll also be able to have a function. Most of the time, I would test the function before I go further. So let's go in here and test that the function correctly works. Test the function, you select the function, and then you can choose the test and the run option. We go here. It's going to tell us some information. So it's an HTTP method. I'm going to choose GET. And it doesn't need a key. And I just run it. And it says it's successful. And I see here that it programmably returned a result. That's all I need at this time. I know that it works. I'm going to hit close. The next thing I'm going to go into is I'm going to go into a Power App station of flows. So if I would have a company that has Power Apps, you'd have a makepowerapps.com environment and a location where you would have them. After the home screen, I would go into flows and I would select a cloud flow. In this case, I've already made one for our demo. So I'm going to click on it. If I go in here, I can now, after clicking on it, choose Edit. A common way to achieve what we want to do is we want to have a Power App talk to this. So we would select first a Power App. And we would have no input at this case. If you want to have an input that you put into your HTTP, go ahead and add one. Once we select the HTTP, we need to get the location from the Azure function. So in this case, we have just our Azure sites. We don't have a domain that we use. Then we would just go here again. We go back to here, to the test Power App. We go back to the function and get the function URL. You want to get the default with the function key. That's what you need to use. We come back here, we'll see that this was already entered. We'll make this. And then we want to respond to a Power App or a flow, and we want to get the response of the body of the object. So in this case, we would label this as response, which is a response coming from it, and say body, which is the body of the HTTP object. Once this is done, I will save it again and test that it works. I'll choose manually. I'll run a test. I'll run the flow. I will see that it was successfully written. And it says that it was successful, and it shows all the checkboxes. The next thing I want to do as the next step is I have so far covered doing a vanilla Azure function, deploying that to the cloud, testing that in the cloud, having a Power App flow that is a cloud flow, and setting up a Power App to an HTTP to a response Power App, and then successfully check that as a fifth step. Now let's do the final step, which is hooking it all up to our Power App. We now go to Power App, and we see that I've pre-done this. So let's make sure for a fact that it is not pre-doing this. And I will say, come into the text box, and I will select the text and try to erase it. Do it that way. And then I will choose the response, and I will choose that the text equals here. We'll just say for now the text is blank. Do that. And then set up a new results here. And what I'm going to do is get the results here first. So but come in here if a button is what I would add. So I'm just adding a button. If you're following along, you can go here and add a button, drag it over. We have the text get results, and then this is the name of my button. When I click on it, I have options to do. In this case, I have to invoke something that I have to set up first, which is the name of my flow, which in this case is Power App v2. So I go here to data, and I'll go to functions, actually, from Power Automate, and you would add the flow here. So I've already added it, so it would show up here. Once I go back, you can go see the get results and try here. And I see that if I set a response, I have this now available to be called in single quotations with HTTP. And then I would say .run to run the command. And I'm going to link it to a response variable. Here, I'm going to then load up my text here to say response, which is my object, and response. We'll see here that this is loading up here a certain way. So I can then go hit this, generate results, and we see that it did work. It just generated the same data that was already there. So this is a simple example of how to set up any type of variable to get something to basically have a Power App that goes to a Power App flow that then reads from HTTP. Again, as a reminder, your HTTP, if you're using an Azure function, should have the code equivalent for security to have it. If you have any other type of API, you can get rid of it and use your own. All it needs to be is accessible. So you could do this with a web app or also traditional IaaS deployed REST API. And then there's the C#. So the C# gets deployed, goes to an Azure function. The Azure function is read through a Cloudflow, and then the Power App reads that. The end of this demo. At this point, we're going to continue on. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to contact us with any questions that you may have. You may like or follow us on our social media, including youtube.com/Advisicon. For project managers, please join us for many ongoing free trainings at advisicon.thinkific.com. In addition to this, you can follow us on any social media sites or contact us directly at Advisicon. Please also remember for project managers, you may receive PDUs at advisicon.thinkific.com. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.